Welcome to the NeuraLink Show and Tell. So we've got an amazing amount of new developments to share with you that I think are incredibly exciting, as well as tell you about the future of what we're planning to do here. It's now this is meant to be a technical podcast, sort of like a. I'm going to provide an overall summary, and then we're going to have a number of members of the NeuraLink team come in and give a deep technical overview of the various areas. So so let me move forward with the overall summary. Now, some of the things I'm going to say are things if you've been following NeuraLink, you've already heard before, but for a lot of people out there, they've no idea what NeuraLink does, and so I will be a little bit repetitive of things you may already know, but that others do not. So, the overarching goal of NeuraLink is to create ultimately a whole brain interface. So a generalized input-output device that, in the long term, literally could interface with every aspect of your brain, and in the short term, can interface with any given section of your brain and solve a tremendous number of things that cause debilitating issues for people. So, So our long term is I'll talk a little bit about our long term goal. It's going to sound a little esoteric, but it was actually the sort of my prime motivation, which was, what do we do about AI? Like, what do we do about artificial general intelligence? If we have digital superintelligence that's just much smarter than any human, how do we mitigate that risk at a species level? How do we mitigate that risk? And then even in a benign scenario where the AI is very, very benevolent, then how do we even go along for the ride? How do we participate? And the conclusion, the thing that the biggest limitation in going along for the ride and in aligning AI, I think, is the bandwidth, the how quickly you can interact with the computer. So we are all already cyborgs in a way, in that your phone and your computer are extensions of yourself.
So we are all already cyborgs in a way, in that your phone and your computer are extensions of yourself.
And I'm sure you found, like, if you leave your phone behind, you end up tapping your pockets, and it's like having missing limb syndrome. Like, where the phone is leaving your phone behind is kind of like a missing limb at this point. You're so used to interfacing with it. You're so used to being a de facto cyborg. So what's the limitation on a phone or a laptop? The limitation is the rate at which you can receive and send information, especially the speed with which you can send information. So if you're interacting with a phone, it's limited by the speed at which you can move your thumbs, or the speed at which you can talk into your phone. This is an extremely low data rate. Maybe it's like 10, optimistically 100 bits per second, but a computer can communicate at gigabits, terabits per second. So this is the fundamental limitation that I think we need to address to mitigate the long-term risk of artificial intelligence, and also just go along for the ride. And
and also just go along for the ride. And
So, but like I said, that's an esoteric explanation that I think will appeal to a niche audience, some of whom may be here.
But like I said, that's an esoteric explanation that I think will appeal to a niche audience. Some of whom may be here.
and that's a very difficult problem. So even if we do not succeed with that problem, I think we are confident at this point that we will succeed at many. It's solving many brain injury issues, spine injury issues along the way. So, yeah. So, anyways, so actually we have Justin Roiland in the audience. Says, hi, Justin. So it's a little Rick and Morty reference here. This great Rick and Morty episode about intelligence enhancement of your dog, and what's the worst that could happen? So, anyway, hi, Rick and Morty. I recommend it.
You're a good boy.
Don't praise him now, Morty. He just peed on the carpet. Bad dog. Bad.
Morty, come on. I need your help tonight.
Hey, wait. Hold on a second, Rick. You wouldn't by any chance have some sort of crazy science thing you could whip up that might help make this dog a little smarter, would you?
I thought the whole point of having a dog was to feel superior, Jerry. If I were you, I wouldn't pull that thread. Come on, Morty.
Listen, Rick. If you're gonna stay here rent-free and use my son for your stupid science, the least you could do is put a little bit of it to use for the family. You make that dog smart, or Morty's grounded.
Oh, man. Boy, you really got me up against the wall this time, Jerry. All right, Ruffles. What's his name? Snuffles. Snuffles. Shake. Roll over. Go to the bathroom.
No way.
Yeah, you're at the top of your game now, Jerry.
On the days and nights of Mrs. Pancakes.
You don't know me.
Then let me get to know you, damn it.
Uh-oh, spoilers. I'm a full season behind. Wow, Rick, I can't believe we're sitting around standing around in Mr. Goldenfold's house. It's really weird. It's about to get a whole lot weirder, Morty.
So you want to be able to read the signals from the brain. You want to be able to write the signals. You want to be able to ultimately do that for the entire brain, and then also extend that to communicating to the rest of your nervous system if you have a sort of a severed spinal cord or neck. So now this is this video is now 18 months old. So this is Pager, who is playing monkey mind pong. So this is Pager has a NeuraLink implant in this video, and the thing that's interesting is that you can't even see the neural implant. So we've miniaturized the neural implant to the point where it matches the thickness of the skull that is removed. So it's essentially it's sort of like having an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, replacing a piece of skull with like a smartwatch.
Replacing a piece of skull with like a smartwatch.
For lack of a better analogy. So you can see, you really can't. He looks he's normal, and I think that's pretty important. If you have a NeuraLink device, like I could have a NeuraLink device implanted right now, and you wouldn't. You wouldn't even know. I mean, hypothetically, maybe one of these demos. In fact, one of these demos I will. Yeah.
Maybe one of these demos. In fact, one of these demos I will. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so here's I mean, first of all, it's kind of wild. Hey, monkeys can play Pong. They can actually play Pong if you give them a joystick. So Pedro first learned to play Pong with a joystick. So I'm like, that was novel. It's like I didn't know monkeys could play Pong, but they can. And then so we first trained Pedro to play Pong with a joystick. Then we took the joystick away and have the NeuraLink. And now he's playing telepath. It's a telepathic video games, essentially. So what we've been doing since then is we've been on the very difficult journey from prototype to product. And I've often said that prototypes are easy, production is hard. It's really, I'd say, 100 to 1,000 times harder to go from a prototype to a device that is safe, reliable, works under a wide range of circumstances, is affordable, and done at scale. It's insanely difficult. I mean, there's an old saying that, that it's 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration, but I think it might be 99.9% perspiration. The best example I could give of an idea being easy, but the execution being hard, is going to the moon. It's the idea of going to the moon, easy. Going to the moon, very hard. So,
the best example I could give of an idea being easy, but the execution being hard, is going to the moon. It's the idea of going to the moon, easy. Going to the moon, very hard. Going to the moon, very hard. So.
And we've been working hard to be ready for our first human, and obviously we want to be extremely careful and certain that it will work well before putting a device in a human. But we've submitted, I think, most of our paperwork to the FDA, and we think probably in about 6 months we should be able to have our first NeuraLink in a human. So. But as I said, we do everything we possibly can to test the devices before, not even going into a human, before even going into an animal. So we do benchtop testing, we do accelerated life testing. We have a fake brain simulator that has the texture, and it's like emulating a brain, but it's sort of rubber. And so before we would even think of putting a device in an animal, we do everything we possibly can with rigorous benchtop testing. So we're not cavalier in putting devices into animals. We're extremely careful, and we always want the device, whenever we do the implant, if it's in a sheep or a pig or monkey, to be confirmatory, not exploratory, so that we've done everything we possibly can with benchtop testing, and only then would we consider putting a device in an animal. We'll actually show you a demo later today in a few hours, really, of implanting in a brain proxy. And if anyone in the audience wants to volunteer, we have the robot right there. So let's see, and since the page of demo, we've expanded to work with a troop of 6 monkeys. We've actually upgraded Pager.
We've actually upgraded Pager.
They do varied tasks, and we do everything possible to ensure that things are stable and replicable, and that that the device lasts for a long time without degradation. So. And what you're seeing there is, it looks like the Matrix, but that's actually, that's a real output of neural signals.
And what you're seeing there is, it looks like the Matrix, but that's actually, that's a real output of neural signals.
So that's not a simulation or just a screensaver or something. Those are actual neurons firing. That is what one of the readouts looks like. And here you can see Sake, it's one of our other monkeys, typing on a keyboard. Now this is telepathic typing. So to be clear, he's not actually using a keyboard. He's moving the cursor with his mind to the highlighted key.
he's not actually using a keyboard. He's moving the cursor with his mind to the highlighted key.
Now technically, can't actually spell, and so I don't want to oversell this thing, because that's the next version. But what's really cool here is Sake the monkey is moving the mouse cursor using just his mind, moving the cursor around to the highlighted key, and then spelling out what we want to spell. But and then so this is something that could be used for somebody who's say quadriplegic or tetraplegic human, even before we make the spinal cord stuff work, is being able to control a mouse cursor, control a phone, and we're confident that someone who has basically no other interface to the outside world would be able to control their phone better than someone who has working hands.
Would be able to control their phone better than someone who has working hands.
So, yeah. And I mentioned upgradability. Upgradability is very important because our first production device will be much like an iPhone 1, and I'm pretty sure you would not want an iPhone 1 stuck in your head if the iPhone 14 is available. So it's going to be being able to demonstrate full reversibility and upgradability, so you can remove a device and replace it with the latest version, or if it stopped working for any reason, replace it. That's a fundamental requirement for the device at NeuraLink. And I should say both Sake and Pager were upgraded to our latest and greatest implants. So that's been really over a year and a half now that Pager's had for the first implant and then the upgraded implant. So this is a very good sign that it lasts for a long time with no observed ill effects. I think it's also important to show that Sake actually likes doing the demo and is not like strapped to the chair or anything. So it's yeah. So the monkeys actually enjoy doing the demos because they get the banana smoothie, and it's kind of a fun game. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is like we care a great deal about animal welfare, and I'm pretty sure like our monkeys are pretty happy, you know. So as you can see, a quick decision maker on the fruit front. So for the first two applications we're going to aim for in humans are restoring vision, and I think this is like notable in that even if someone has never had vision ever, like they were born blind, we believe we can still restore vision. Because the visual part of the cortex is still there. Yeah, even if they've never seen before, we're confident that they could see. And then the other application being in the motor cortex, where we would initially enable someone who has no ability, almost no ability to operate their muscles, you know, sort of like a sort of Stephen Hawking type situation, and enable them to operate their phone faster than someone who has working hands. But then obviously even better than that would be to bridge the connection. Take the signals from the motor cortex, and let's say somebody's got a broken neck, then bridging those signals to NeuraLink devices located in the spinal cord. So we're confident there are no physical limitations to enabling full body functionality. I mean, as miraculous as it may sound, we're confident that it is possible to restore full body functionality to someone who has a severed spinal cord. So, yeah. So, yeah. All right. And then I want to emphasize again that the primary purpose of this update is recruiting. A lot of times people think that they couldn't really work at NeuraLink because they don't know anything about biology or how brains work. And the thing that we really want to emphasize here is that you don't need to, because when you break down the skills that are needed to make NeuraLink work, it's actually many of the same skills that are required to make a smartwatch or modern phone work. So it's sort of, software, batteries, radios, inductive charging, and as well as things that are specific to us, like animal care and clinical and regulatory matters. Obviously, machine learning, that phrase is used a lot. But we obviously need to interpret the signals from the brain, which is a biological neural net, and the best thing to interpret a biological neural net is a digital neural net. So this is, if there's one message I want to convey, it is that if you have expertise in creating advanced devices like watches and phones, computers, then your capabilities would be of great use in solving these important problems. That's more than anything the message I want to convey. Let's see. Yeah. So with that, I guess, DJ.